Alright, g'day, welcome back. We're here today with Angus Barrett again. We're going to do some reins today. I'm going to run you through the range of reins that we make in our workshop. They're leather reins and cotton reins. We have three sizes. We have a 5 foot, a 6 foot and a 7 foot. We do make 8 foot, but we don't make that many of them. If people want 8 footers, they can let me know and we can be sure to whip you some up when we're making reins next. But basically we have, we started our basic reins, which are our split reins. These just have a leather tie on each end, and the leather tie is really good. The leather tie is good because if you tie a horse up and with your reins maybe, or your horse treads on the reins and they break, it's really nice and easy because you don't need to send them back to me to repair. You can punch a couple new holes in the end and put the laces back on. All that's the advantage of our 6 and 7 foot split reins. All the reins that I make, and they're all weighted. So we have heavy ends at the tack, at the tail of the rein. They've got a split section here. You pull this little clip off, and that's just a thing that keep your keys on when you need to. But we've got the weighted ends at each end of the rein, and then you slide your hand down, and in the centre there, I actually take a split out of the centre of the reins to make them a little bit lighter in your hands. And they also have weight back here at the bit. Okay, so every time I cut a set of reins, we slice the whole side up, and then I'll pair them, so they're always side by side. So you know the top pair of reins will have come right down the back, and the other ones will have come down a little bit further down the side. Obviously we don't use the belly leather or even go close to it because of the length. And then I'll lay those reins out and I'll decide what they're going to do. I literally pick up each set of reins, and I hold them and shake them and feel what I think I'd be doing in a pair of reins like that. So I might think, oh, these feel really good and they've got a good weighted end. I'm not going to do anything to them. I'm just going to leave them like that. And then I might pick up another ones, and they might be really heavy and bulky in the centre of the leather there, which was around the side of the beast. And so what I might do is I might go and cut a section out of the centre of the reins and split them down. I'll split them down to say 4.5 or 5 or 6 mil. 6.5, whatever I'm feeling at the time. So all our reins are different in weight, I'm talking about here, different weights, but they all predominantly have a heavy end, heavy at the bit, and a different weight through the middle. Some of the fat ones, or the thick ones I make, they're made for like the bricklayer, the bloke who's got the big chunky fingers who needs a bit of meat between his hands. And then I'll thin some other really nice ones down because there might be a little lady with nice little soft hands and she might want a really nice light set. It's all different horses for different courses and different humans for different horses. Some might like, here's a good example, I use, on one of my bridles I have a really heavy set of weighted reins, big heavy tails, fully stitched. And the stitching, when I fully stitch the reins, I'm making the rein a little bit denser because I'm filling it full of thread. And what I'm doing there is that it gives me a stiffer, denser rein. So with the big heavy tail, I might take that bridle if I've got a horse that I want to whop around a bit, or maybe even I might have a dog that might need a touch up if he's nearby. But that big heavy weighted rein is sometimes enough just to, you know, tap a shoulder around or just a little bit of encouragement. Or I might have another set that are really light, so if I've got something like a really soft-mouthed horse and I don't want any weight in my reins, I just want some really light reins, I'll have a nice little light set, and they won't be stitched, they won't be stiff. So that's our weighted reins. And so you have 6 foot, 7 foot and 8 foot in the split reins, and they can be either fully stitched or not. Right? Then we move, that's 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot, there's some 8 footers there. So you've got plenty in stock, and there's lots of, there's heaps. Take the lot. And then you come down to the station rein. The station rein is the same leather. It's a Herman Oak harness leather. All these reins are made from a Herman Oak harness leather. But the station rein has a buckle on the end, right? And so they still have a weighted tail up at the back here. They've got the weighted tail. They're all split reins. We're still doing split reins here. They've got the weighted tail. But then I might come in, say 600 or 700 mil, where I would on the other ones if I decide that I want to thin that out a little bit there. And I'll thin it out, but I'll keep going and I'll split right out, because then when I sew the buckle on the end, the buckle puts the weight back. So in this set of reins, they're nicely weighted, obviously, all of them are on the rack. They're just weighted differently per person. So when you ring up or when you send an email, hey, I want to buy some 7-foot reins or 7-foot fully stitched reins, if you don't mention what it is, one of the girls in the shop will ring you up and they'll say, hey, do you want some heavy reins or some light reins? So if you decide you want some reins, send an email and say, hey, I want some really lovely light-weighted reins. I ride a horse that's 15 hands, I've got tiny little 15-hand horse and I've got tiny little hands. I'm a solicitor by trade, so my hands don't have that much leather grease on them. Or you could write in, you could say, I've been laying bricks for 50 years, mate, I need 2 bits of Herman Oak harness leather sewn together. Either way, these ones are station, so they're a split rein with a buckle at the end. The buckles are nice because they match up with our bridles, which we're going to do in the next couple of days. So then, don't worry about the phone, there might be someone ringing for an order in this coronavirus period. Anyway, we'll keep going. Now I've got joint reins. These are our joint reins. These are for the pony clubs. Well, maybe pony clubs, but also children who drop their reins or people who like joint reins. Personally, I don't like joint reins. I seem to get tangled up in them a bit, but a lot of people do like joint reins, and so we make them and we sell a lot of them. But these reins are one thickness, okay? They don't have weighted ends. They are weighted at the bit because of where we sew the buckle on, but they're made out of a skirting leather. So they're not made out of a Herman Oak harness leather. The Herman Oak harness leather is pumped full of fats and paraffin. It's a very heavy, oily, greasy leather. The Herman Oak harness leather is the kind of leather that you're better off throwing it in the trough or dragging it around in the bull dust rather than oiling it. There's lots of oil in this Herman Oak harness leather, plus I've oiled it again, and if they ever go stiff and hard, you just give them some work and get a little bit of heat in them or a bit of a hot day and the reins will come to life. Whereas this skirting leather, this is the same leather that I use to make my bridles. It's a finished leather. They're all split to about 4.2 or 5 millimeters thick. And they've got a little buckle that's on the end of it, brass buckle with a stainless steel tongue, or you can have a stainless steel buckle. They're pretty simple. They're good for pony club and they're good for kids who drop their reins or people who just like joined reins. Okay, so that's the joined reins. They come in 2 colours too. You have a dark natural and a natural, both with the 2 hardware, brass and stainless steel. Now, if you're still watching, I always keep the best to last. We have our French leather reins. Now these are, they're amazing. They're wicked. They're beautiful. This is something else. Okay, so this leather, if the French knew what I was doing with this leather, they'd be highly disgusted, because this is the stuff that Louis Vuitton and Hermes use to make the top leather products that they sell. I came across this leather when I was making show jumping saddles in France, and this leather is incredibly strong. It's a chrome tan, whereas the other 2 leathers I've just talked about are veg tan. This is a chromium tan leather. It's first grade, it's impeccable leather, and what I do is I cut these 60 odd mil wide strips and then I fold them over 2 times and I double stitch them. Okay, a little bit tricky to do, but it gets you a soft, pliable rein that is, it's hard to explain. It's nearly sticky a little bit. They won't be sticky the first time you ride them in the rain, remember. Don't expect to buy this and go straight out into the camp on a rainy day. You've got to wear them in a little bit. Anyway, these are the same as the station rein, with a weighted end and a buckle at the other end. They're just incredibly soft and super strong, but I do a little trick in these ones. I sew a weight into the tail. Because the leather, I buy it in hides, not sides, so they're full hides, and then I split them all down and pair them up again, so the 2 bits of leather are side by side. And then when I sew them together, we cut a tail, a core of harness leather, and we feed that in there, and so you get the weight. And they're beautifully weighted reins, so they hang. If people who don't realise what I'm talking about when I'm talking about weight, I'm talking about the split in your rein. So if you're riding bridge, this reign's got a bit of weight in it, so it hangs down on the shoulder of your horse or around your knee. It's not really light and fluffy, and it shouldn't get tangled up under your leg, you know. So if you get off at a gate, you leave one rein on, and you just walk away, and the pony follows along behind you with your rein, and the other rein won't fall off his neck. It's a weighted rein, and the weighted rein's also there. I learned about weighted reins when I was watching the cutting and listening to the cutters who taught me a certain amount about the saddlery that we make. And also when I worked in Texas there making cutting saddles, I learned a little bit more about the importance of cutting the reins, the weighted reins in the cutting arena. And it holds it down, gives you a bit of a weight. You can move the horse along with it if you want to. Anyway, that's what weighted reins are. And these French leather reins, which are just, I think they're probably our highest rated. They're definitely our most expensive, I can tell you that much. But they're worth every dollar, without a doubt. Longevity, it's like everything we make, it'll last. And then we have, so that's the French leather reins. We've done the split reins, Herman Oak harness leather. We've done the joined reins. Oh, we did the station reins as well, Herman Oak harness leather. We've done the joined reins, which is the skirting leather. We've done the French leather reins. They come in black, and I also make them. So here you go. If you would, let's get the ladder. If you'd really like to spoil your child, or your wife, or someone who's not, oh look at that, that's, if you can only feel what they have here. Anyway, that's amazing. These are 5-footers, these are our joined reins, same design, and I've sewn a buckle on there. They've got this really cool little buckle that's sewn on beautifully, edged and slicked, and it's got a bit of English leather sewing it on there, so it's very durable, very dense. These are particularly soft, and once again I've made the smaller reins a little bit lighter, just because I figure the kiddies will be riding in them. They've got smaller hands, they'll be softer. Yeah, so the French leather reins, you have black and a brown, and you have 5 foots, 6 foots, and 7 foots. The 5-footers are joined, so all my 5-foot reins are joined. I don't make any 5-footers that are split. Okay, now the only reins we have left are the cotton reins, the soft cotton reins. This is an Australian made cotton, which is pretty exciting. I like it because the cotton was grown in the country, and the cotton wasn't milled in Australia. The cotton sold, it goes offshore, but it comes back as a yarn. And then this cotton weave is a tubular weave, and it's actually made for me. It's made in Melbourne by a company. I send them a sample. We have a very strict sample of what I want. I'm a little bit particular when it comes to supplying the raw materials to us, because believe it or not, I can only ever make as good a pair of cotton reins as the cotton that's supplied. Anyway, it's got a lovely plait through it. It's very dense. These have their split rein. Okay, they have a buckle sewn on the end. It's a bigger buckle. It's a 19mm buckle, and I've done that to add a little bit more weight to the bit. And the reason I like the weight at the bit is so if you pick up your reins, your pony should feel you're coming. Your horse should know that you're coming, you know, riding along, plop, 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 pick up your reins, you know, pick its ears up a little bit. Anyway, these are cotton rein. I think they're just a 6-footer. We might have some smaller ones that used to be joined, but I don't think so. I think they're 6 foot. Anyway, they're called our soft cotton reins. These are very grippy, durable. They won't last as long as a pair of leather reins because they're cotton and they'll get wet and they'll rot. But they, for the time that you do have them, you can love them. A lot of people use these for sporting and riding in the wet or competition. Now, that's the soft cotton reins. Now the last set of reins we have here are our double braid yachting rope reins. This is the same rope that our halters and leads are made out of. This is just a fair dinkum durable set of reins. They have a funky knot that goes around the leather slobber strap, goes that way, and this one here, there's not much I can tell you about this. They don't have the same feel or the same weight as this other stuff. I would kind of reckon these would be good if you're working in a feedlot and you just had a pony that was a workhorse. Some people like them. You can tie them up, you won't break them. If you break the leather bit, you just ring up and buy some more. You can buy them on their own, do what you want. Anyway, the pick of the reins, French leather. My next favourite are my 7-foot split reins, followed by my 7-foot fully stitched. Remember to ask about weights when you ring up, and go mad, buy heaps. Thank you.